I'm a fan of M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable movie. When I first saw that movie, I thought the directing from the very opening scene was fantastic.
It appears that your baby has sustained some fractures while inside your uterus. His arms and his legs are broken.
And to me, it felt like a serious superhero movie way before The Dark Knight was even released. This was a movie that was grounded in reality, and the way it was handled just made me feel invested in the narrative. It's just the aesthetic to that movie. It felt so genuine. It I don't really know how to explain it. It just felt like a movie that was a superhero movie, but at the same time, it just felt grounded in reality and the way it was executed. My suspension of disbelief was at 100% because I just went along with it. As ridiculous as some of this stuff was, I just went along with it. And it was great because I feel the way it was shot, the way it was handled, the aesthetic to it made it feel more than what it was.
How does he do that?
Oh, that's the whole point why I'm showing
So
you.
genius.
I watched M. Night Shyamalan's Split, and when that movie, first starts, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. Middle portion, couple of elements in there threw me off, and I didn't like it, but I was still into the movie. And then by the end of it, I was disappointed. And when you see the after credit scene and you hear the Unbreakable music and you see Bruce Willis's character of David Dunn in the diner, that's when it clicks in your mind and you say to yourself, oh, this is Unbreakable. This is tied into Unbreakable. And for some reason, your emotions are full of excitement. Because Unbreakable is such a great movie. It's one of the best superhero movies, and it's not talked about. It's not up there with The Dark Knight or The Avengers. It's kind of like, for some reason, I just don't put it in the conversation of like, well, what are my top two favorite comic book movies as of right now? It's The Dark Knight and Avengers Infinity War. And I will get to that. I will explain why in a few moments here. But Split, once we get that reveal that it's connected to the Unbreakable universe, I get that excitement to where I'm like, okay, I want to see where this goes. And so now we have Glass, which is the third movie in this trilogy where it starts from Unbreakable, Split, and now Glass. So let's get into the review for Glass.
May I meet the beast?
I hope for your sake that he likes you.
That sounds like the bad guys teaming up. A lot of people are going to die.
Don't do this.
Are you ready?
What have you done, Elijah?
The movie feels like it picks up immediately after the events of Split, where James McAvoy's character got away, and now he has some girls hostage in a warehouse, and we finally see David Dunn, Bruce Willis, and he's basically become Batman in a way. He's a vigilante, he's saving people, he's been doing it for years, and his son is involved, Joseph Dunn, and it was good to see the character in here, and I did recognize him. I was like, oh, that's David Dunn's son. That was great. They own the security business, and I just see those two characters was great. And we see David Dunn, and he goes home, and he remembers his wife, but as an audience member, I remember the relationship they had in the first movie, and I thought it was very interesting. But in here, it's just kind of glossed over. I don't really care. Um, and it goes on, and then David Dunn is trying to find out where these women are, and then he has the powers that we saw in Unbreakable, where he touches people and he gets a sense, or he has a vision of the bad things they've done. And so David Dunn crosses paths with James McAvoy's character, and David Dunn goes to save the girls, and James McAvoy shows up to fight David Dunn in a very bizarre action scene. To me, when I saw this action scene, the building up to it, I was anticipating something grand, but the execution of it to me just felt a little sloppy, and it wasn't intense. And I mean, I was emotionally invested, but then visually, it just felt, the directing of it just felt very, it feels a little jarring, and the way the fight is executed, it just feels underwhelming. I'm not invested in the fight. I'm invested in the story, yes, but the fight itself is just kind of lackluster to me. I don't care. I guess since my mind has been oversaturated with these superhero movies and their grand explosions, I was expecting something like that from this. I was saying to myself, okay, this is a superhero movie, but it's realistic. But I watch Unbreakable. Yeah, that's a realistic superhero movie, but Split started off realistic, and then by the end of it, it just fell over the top. So I was curious as to which direction M. Night Shyamalan was going to go with this movie. Was he going to just go balls to the wall with grandiose action, or was he going to keep it more simplistic and grand like Unbreakable? Well, I feel we had a middle ground with this. He tries to go grand with it. People are getting thrown into cars and flying out of windows and stuff like that. But it just feels very lackluster to me. The way the camera gets in close on these actors, and it just feels weird. It just feels like it's not as grand as it should have been. I feel like, yeah, you should have either went one of two ways. You should have went balls to the wall, grandiose action, or more realistic action. It feels like a middle ground. It just doesn't feel natural to me. I don't really know what my problem is. I just did not enjoy the action scenes in this movie. Like I said, I was emotionally invested, but I was not invested in the action itself, because the way it was executed just felt lackluster to me for some reason. Now we have David Dunn, James McAvoy characters, and Mr. Glass himself, title character Elijah Price. And we meet Sarah Paulson, who is a therapist that is trying to debunk that these three men believe they are superheroes. And this whole segment in the movie just felt stupid to me, and it felt unnecessary, where the movie tried to manipulate my mind, as well as Sarah Paulson's character tried to do. These three characters tries to explain away the fact that all of these characters are Marvel. You have David Dunn, who has superhuman strength, and when he touches people, he has visions. We know this. The setup to it was beautiful. We know this. But Sarah Paulson's character tries to debunk all of that. And it just felt useless to me. I was like, well, yeah, of course he's superhuman. We saw what he did in Unbreakable, and now you're trying to debunk that. And David Dunn, falling for it after all these years of crime fighting, just decides to believe this woman. It's like, it just felt very lame to me. And I was saying to myself, yeah, of course by the end they're going to realize that, yeah, we're Marvel and we're badass and we have powers. And for the whole middle portion of the movie where Sarah Paulson's character was trying to debunk their abilities, I wasn't into it. I was feeling like, yeah, this is not working. This is very boring. I don't care. I know where it's going to go from here. We have Elijah Price in here from Unbreakable, who returns, Mr. Glass, title character, and he's smarter than everyone in the room. He sets up Sarah Paulson's character as an idiot because, he is the mastermind. He's playing dumb, and then he has a grand scheme, which reveals itself at the end, of course, because it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. We learn that Elijah Price just wanted the world to witness the abilities of James McAvoy's character and David Dunn. And he just wanted to put on a show, so he didn't want the world to not know who these people were, as he said in the original movie.
I believe comics are our last link to an ancient way of passing on history. The Egyptians drew on walls. Countries all over the world still pass on knowledge through pictorial forms. I believe comics are a form of history that someone somewhere felt or experienced.
He wants this to be in the light. He wants the world to know. And that's the big ending here. And I wasn't really satisfied with that, but we'll get into that later. In James McAvoy, we get a bit more insight into his past. And I thought that was pretty interesting. James McAvoy's character's father was on the same train as David Dunn from the first movie, which was shocking, but it just kind of felt shoehorned in here to have a nice twist. So yeah, it felt shocking at the beginning, but then by the end of it, once I thought about it, I do not care. James McAvoy, the best actor in this movie. If he were to get nominated for an Academy Award, I'd say give it to the man, because he crushes it. This is his movie. He steals it. He steals the show. James McAvoy is the star of this movie because he's playing multiple characters in here, and he does it with finesse. Mwah, man, like James McAvoy is the best actor in this movie. He crushes it, and that's all I have to say. Bruce Willis, playing David Dunn. Bruce Willis does a great job with the limited amount of screen time he has in this movie, and his character dies at the end, which was very shocking, and I did feel sad about that. But Bruce Willis, he was good. He was barely in the movie, but he was good with the amount of screen time he had. Samuel L. Jackson, Mr. Glass himself, Elijah Price. Samuel L. Jackson was great in here. He had these little twitches and quirks, which was phenomenal. But I liked his character better in Unbreakable. But he was good here as well. We have Anna Taylor-Joy returning here, and it seems like her character has powers as well, like she's an empath or something, and she can touch people and make them feel joy or something within themselves. I don't know. It seems like she has powers. They don't really explain it, but it seems like she has powers. Like she's a mutant or something. But Anna Taylor-Joy, I felt like she really didn't need to be here. She just kind of felt shoehorned in the movie. It's very unnecessary. And it was kind of bizarre how she found out about the news and how they even let her see James McAvoy's character. I thought it was kind of weird. But yeah, Anna Taylor-Joy, she didn't really need to be here, but she was great with what she had to work with. Sarah Paulson plays Dr. Ellie Staple. And at first we see her character and she's very annoying. I don't like her character. I guess it was the fact that, it's just her character. I didn't mind Sarah Paulson playing the character. It's just the character I did not like. There's something about her, where she's trying to debunk who these people are and say, well, I bent the bars myself with a wrench. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, it just pissed me off. I felt pissed off every time I saw her character on screen. She made me mad. I don't know why. I just felt that way. And then there's this big reveal at the end with Sarah Paulson's character, like they're part of some organization that is trying to keep these superhero people a secret. It's not really explained, but I mean, I guess, since we got David Dunn out there, and we got Elijah Price out there, and the Beast, and all these people, maybe there's more. They don't really explain that, but there's a hint that maybe there's more, because this organization's probably been around for a while. They try to keep this from the public eye, kind of like the MIB. Um, and the organization makes sense. They're trying to keep it on the hush hush, but they don't really explain it. They gloss over it. But it's interesting. It can set up sequels. It can set up sequels where you got this organization and then other superheroes, and they're trying to stop them. And then now we've established our enemies and maybe some of our heroes. So they can definitely make sequels with that. So I thought that was interesting, and it was good. It was a good reveal that there's an organization out there trying to stop the heroes. I thought that was a very interesting twist. Glass. I was anticipating this movie because I love Unbreakable, and Split I thought was okay. I didn't know exactly where the tone of this movie was going to be, and I was impressed for the most part, but by the end I did not care. To me, Unbreakable is the only movie that exists within this trilogy because it was so good. And Split, like I said, it's okay. And Glass is just unnecessary. And so if I had to give this a verdict, I would say that this movie is fine. It's got some really good moments in it. It's got some weird moments in it. And some of the directing is kind of iffy to me, kind of diminishes some of the action scenes. And I just really kind of don't care about the story at the end. It just feels like, oh yeah, we've got these characters that we were interested in the first movie, and in the second movie, I guess, we got a character that is good because of the actor involved. If we had a different actor, I don't think I would be as invested in the Beast as I was when I saw Split. And see these two come together and they fight, it just felt very underwhelming and lackluster because maybe my mind's been oversaturated with superhero movies and they're always fighting each other on a grand scale, and it just felt very low grade to me. So like I said, Glass is a fine movie if you are a fan of Unbreakable, and if you enjoyed Split, then I think you will walk out of the theater happy. You will say to yourself, yeah, that was a pretty good movie. It's fine. To me, it's fine. There's nothing special about it to me. It's fine. I'll probably forget it a few years from now or a few months from now, but it's fine. Unbreakable's the best. Love that movie. But Glass, I just felt it was very underwhelming, and I just did not care by the end of it. And that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.
American Sublime refers to Western paintings of landscapes and seascapes depicting the immensity of nature. The use of violent storms in the distance was a common practice. Paintings are particularly interesting.